money. And she's like, oh, okay, great. What the heck? What the heck are you like even doing here? And he's like, oh, move over. I'll show you something.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, great. Just when I need more hands. Like,
Right.
I love that. She's so dry and deadpan about it. And she's great. She's playing her little songs or whatever. And she basically tells Riker that in a couple of days, there'll be a fat Ferengi will come in and that he will tell them more about the Vulcan ship. So they're still on this mystery, tracking down what happened to this Vulcan ship. And now the next clue is this fat Ferengi who's going to show up. So we are back on Romulus. Spock is meeting with Proconsul Neral in his office. And they are discussing reunification. And he's like, the proconsul's like, dude, I'm like 100% pro unification. You have no clue. Vote yes on Prop 8. He's like, absolutely. and Spock's like, all right, that's great, you know? And it seems to be going smoothly, a little too smoothly, if you get my drift. And sure enough, from behind us hiding spot, we get Sela, who is, as the Star Trek fans will know, she is the daughter of Tasha Yar, who was sent back in time in yesterday's Enterprise, and Tasha had a relationship with a Romulan, and she is the product of that relationship.
Is it a relationship, or was it a forced?
You know what? As I was saying relationship, in my head I'm going, that's not the right word, Rebecca. And it's not
No.
It's not the right word. She was a captive prisoner. So is it a relationship? No. And thank you for pointing that out. It is absolutely not a consensual relationship. If she can't say no, it's not consensual.
Right. And as seeing this, not having known that when I rewatched this episode, I'm like, that's Denise Crosby. And so then I had to look it up, and I'm like, oh, I get it.
Oh. How'd she get here? She died in that tar monster episode.
I'm like, right?
You know,
the
what's
tar
funny is
monster. Oh, jeez.
I like Denise Crosby a lot more in her cameo episodes than I ever liked her as a regular crew member.
Oh, okay.
Because they gave her more to do.
Yeah,
that's why.
She actually had something to do. She had agency in every single one of her scenes as a cameo instead of as a crew member.
Yes, let's get off subject for a second here, because in that tar monster episode, like she's talking, like they're talking about how she's going to be in this like martial arts competition and stuff, and how everybody's betting on her, and it's like, that would be so awesome. Yes, she's finally gonna get something, and then she dies, and you're like, no, this would have been awesome for her character.
Yeah.
Why give us that?
Yeah. All we ever knew about her was she came from a planet that had rape gangs, which she would bring up
all the time.
Every scene.
She's like, she was just like,
rape gangs.
Listen,
I mean,
I didn't have
can't really
anything.
blame her.
I was an orphan. Gangs raped everybody. And I was an orphan. I didn't have anything. Did I mention everybody was raped by gangs, but I managed to get away from it? You know, like.
And then it's like,
constantly.
Tasha, we're having lunch. What the hell?
This salad is super nice. I don't know why you want to pick up the rape gang, because we're eating rapé.
Right?
I mean, yeah, they gave her nothing to do in that first season. And, you know, we talk about this on other episodes, Brooke and I, is that one of the things that Star Trek could have been better at, and hopefully will be better at in the future, is writing roles for women. Like, there have not been historically great writing for the female characters. It's why Denise Crosby left. It's why Gates McFadden left. She eventually came back.
Gave her better stuff.
They gave her better storylines, etc. And so
slightly
that's why
better.
I like Discovery so much, is because they have progressed.
Oh,
it
100%. Like they've made Michael such a great character, and
once
even
Tyler got the fuck out of there, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I hate Tyler so much.
I mean, it's yeah, but like they've I feel like with Discovery as the newest Trek that we've gotten, they've really stepped up their game on
They've been
writing roles for women. I agree. They have been trying. I mean, we've come a long way from like, Yeoman Rand. Yeah, we've come a long way from Yeoman Rand getting almost sexually assaulted every episode she was on. So
by Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
But don't forget we have Troy getting like mentally raped
I know.
constantly.
So like,
Yes.
they've done better, and then they haven't, and then they haven't, and they haven't, and I hope going forward they continue to do better. But I digress.
And Enterprise does some good stuff in that arena.
That's awesome.
I think it's just hard for particularly that time period, and then as those dudes have continued to write things, and it's hard for newer people to come in, for them to write women because they don't understand women except for how they have to do with a man or motherhood.
That's why the whole like sex pot in Star Trek became such a joke.
Yeah.
You had like Troy in Next Generation was technically the sex pot, but then you had
she was nothing compared to her mother.
Right. But then you had like obvious attempts to sexify the Star Trek universe with 7 of 9 coming in season 4 or 5 of Voyager, and then obviously starting Enterprise with T'Pol. And then those characters, because of the strength of the actors and the writing staff wanting to give them more stuff, they kind of they overcame that sex pot nomenclature. It definitely got better as those characters progressed overall.
Mm-hmm.
I will definitely say for me the what turned me off to Enterprise was how they sexualized T'Pol. I'm not gonna lie, it really turned me off to the point that I was like, this is just, I can't watch this.
It got better.
Okay, it's good to know that it got better. So like I can't speak to that, but I mean, having watched all of Voyager, they definitely, I mean, Jerry Ryan, they poured her into those outfits.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to talk about a skin tight cat suit? They poured her into those outfits.
They honestly didn't need to do that.
Because they didn't need to.
She's hot anyway. Like,
right. But I think what you're saying, Neil, is what I love about the character, because she could have just been like a pair of boobs and legs, but instead Jerry Ryan took that character, and as we watched her explore her humanity, having survived being a Borg for so long, she really was able to elevate the character.
Yes.
And that's what's great. And so like to see her now, she's going to be in Picard.
I'm so excited.
I know. And then like in the second trailer, the scenes of her like shooting guns and stuff, like phasers, she looks great. She looks like such a badass, and it's like, it's exciting for me to see her character grow even more.
And it feels like a good service to the character. It feels like it's a growth for the character, not a, hey, we're doing this because we want women in the show sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Which is what it felt like originally. I mean, in Voyager, we had Janeway as this super strong, super capable woman who was not seen as sexy, and that made them create this character that was supposed to be this titillation for the young male viewers. And it's nice to see that we're actually moving away from that mindset of, we need to have short skirts for the mirror universe. We need to have low-cut, form-fitting uniforms for our counselors.
Like
it's Go ahead.
I was gonna say it's. Now I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry.
Yeah, it is good to see the progression of that stuff in Star Trek, and I hope that we continue to see it because
Yes.
yeah, I want to see better parts for women. I always want to see better parts for women, and I always want to see better parts written for women of color, and I want to see transgender women represented. I want to see all of that happen for women in film and in media.
And non-sexualized versions.
Yes.
That's not the point, where it's just a woman doing her job and not because she looks good in a form-fitting outfit.
Exactly. And not every woman has to be defined as, someone's wife or someone's mother or someone's lover or someone's ex-lover.
She's a capable human being who's doing the best job that they can, no matter what their gender is.
Exactly. That's
or
what
if they have
Are there,
gender.
Yeah, I was going to ask if there was... I know there's, like, the episode... There was the Next Generation episode with, like, the people that didn't have a gender and the one they wanted to be... They felt that they were a woman. Mm-hmm. And those fell in love with Riker and all that kind of stuff. But, like... I didn't know... Like, there's not really anything like that at any point... where there's someone in a more main role, right? That's like that. I mean,
no, but there is an episode of Enterprise where there's a third gender, but that gets it's handled very poorly.
I'm not surprised.
Not good.
And it's an attempt to I don't know. It's an attempt, but does not execute well.
That's a shame to hear. I do remember that episode that you're talking about, Brooke. It definitely was. I think it was definitely more speaking less about like transgender people and more about like homosexuality. But I think certainly it's an attempt by Star Trek to have a conversation about LGBTQ people. At a time where you didn't see much of that on TV.
Ever.
Exactly, ever. So, like, I give Star Trek, like, full marks for making the effort, but execution has not always been great. So, I mean, it's great to make the effort, but you gotta then...
It is a product of its time, but it does make the effort to try and explore things that most shows wouldn't even attempt.
Listen,
I agree.
You could go back and watch other old shows and they have not aged well at all, and these have aged a lot better than you would expect them to.
Even when it's
because they
like,
try,
off-putting, it's still like, okay, they're trying.
Yeah.
They're trying to say something positive about this situation, which they have no frame of reference for. But they're trying.
Even in Nemesis, which you will hear in the future, everybody. I'm coming to you from the future, telling you about our Nemesis review. We do talk a little bit about how in the very beginning, Data makes a speech at Riker and Troy's wedding, and he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, and other invited transgender species."
Right.
Like. It's a throwaway line in an early 2000s movie. It's an attempt. They're trying. They made it to just even say that transgendered.
Yeah.
It was not a word you heard much.
Right. Because in
that time.
2002, people were not saying that in
Think
2002.
No, they weren't. And I feel like to say that word in 2002 at a time where people were not thinking that way, and you could make the argument it's played off as a joke even, or something like, oh, ha ha ha, but it is an
still
attempt.
There.
Yeah,
it's there, and you get a point for trying. You really do.
If the writers were playing it off as a joke, the character of Data wouldn't have made it as a joke.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So it comes across more more real and sincere and genuine, for an android, than if it were like Riker, for instance.
Right. Sure. You also look at like Lau, Data's child.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Who chooses their gender because that's what they feel like.